All right, so we're diving into the fascinating world of foreign exchange brokers today.
Definitely fascinating.
And we've got a ton of excerpts here from RoleCatcher,
Mm-hmm.
which seems like the ultimate resource for anyone, curious
Mm.
about careers. I'm really interested to see what it actually takes to, make it in this world.
For sure.
Because it's not all like,
Right.
sell, sell, sell on Wall Street like we see in the movies.
Not quite, no.
Yeah,
It's definitely not how Hollywood portrays it.
right.
Much more strategic.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it more like
Okay.
a global matchmaker for currencies. You know, they're always analyzing the market to find the
Right.
perfect time to buy low, sell high, all for their clients, of course.
I like that a financial matchmaker. But this analyzing economic trends thing that RoleCatcher keeps mentioning,
Right.
that sounds pretty intense.
Yeah.
What are some things brokers actually look at every day?
It's about spotting the signs that most people miss. You're analyzing market depth, for example. Think of it like a snapshot of all the buy and sell orders lined up for its specific currency.
Interesting.
A shallow market, not a lot of orders, means the price could jump with a small trade.
Oh, wow. Risky.
So it's a bit of a gamble.
Yeah, but that's where the opportunity is.
So you got to be a bit of a risk taker.
Absolutely. And then you've got geopolitics to think about, too.
Geopolitics, okay.
Like, imagine a surprise election result that shakes things up,
Right.
that could send shockwaves through the
Mhm.
markets and really mess with currency values.
Because if one dips, the other ones become more
Yep.
attractive.
It
And
hit.
suddenly,
Boom, exchange rates are all over the place.
crazy. So they're not just like watching the news, they're predicting the future
It's a bit like that, yeah.
with all these currencies.
You've also got technical analysis, too, which is like reading the language of charts,
The language of charts, okay.
Brokers use all the past market data to spot those patterns and trends.
Wow.
Kind of like a financial detective.
A financial detective. How about looking for clues?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So it's not for the easily overwhelmed, is it?
It's a lot to handle, for sure. RoleCatcher doesn't really hide that, though.
Right.
They're upfront about the demands, the long hours, the constant pressure to be ahead of the game.
Right. Always thinking ahead.
Always.
So high risk, high reward. Is that what we're getting at?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
You need serious analytical skills, math skills. That's a given.
Sure. That makes sense.
But they also mentioned communication and negotiation, which is interesting.
Yeah. Why is that? I would have thought it was all numbers.
Well, even with all the tech, it boils down to trust.
Okay.
A good broker doesn't just trade. They explain things to the client.
Right.
They break down those complex market movements.
Right. Because otherwise it's just like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
It's Greek to them, right? They need to be able to explain it simply so the client can make a good decision.
So what happens if your client freaks out because, like, the euro suddenly drops?
That happens.
I'd be freaking out.
That's where you got to stay calm.
Okay.
Bring it back to the strategy.
Right.
A good broker can spin a crisis into an opportunity, you see.
Okay.
So let's say the euro does take a sudden dip.
Yeah.
You can say to your client, listen, we talked about this.
Yeah.
We knew this could happen. We even factored it into your risk tolerance. Now's the time to buy low, just like we planned.
Oh, so it's like you've got it all. You've already,
It's all part of the plan.
it's all planned out.
Exactly.
Well, so they're like a financial therapist
Oh.
almost.
It's a good way to think about it.
You're not just managing money, you're managing their emotions.
You have to. And RoleCatcher really emphasizes the high stakes.
Right. Because,
They talk about high earning potential,
okay.
but also the risk, the very real risk of losing money.
So you could win big, but you could also
You could lose big.
lose big.
It's a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster. That's a good way to put it.
It is.
So you've got to have a strong stomach to work as a forex broker.
You need to be comfortable with those calculated risks.
Right.
Be able to make decisions, in a split second.
Because if the market's moving fast,
Exactly. You got to move fast with it
and you've got to keep up
and genuinely enjoy the pressure
where pressure
of that fast-paced global market.
Because if you don't, you'll just crack.
It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone, yeah.
Hmm.
But what if someone's listening to this and
Yeah.
they're like hooked? They love the idea of analyzing markets, working with clients, and, riding that wave of global finance. What's the career path look like?
That's a good question.
RoleCatcher mentions a junior broker.
Right. That's usually the first step.
Okay.
Think of it like an apprenticeship.
Right.
You're shadowing the more senior brokers, learning the ropes.
Right, so you're not just thrown in the deep end.
No, you're eased in.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing lots of market research, getting to grips with all the technical analysis tools.
So it's a learning process.
It's steep learning curve, yeah.
It's not just, here's a terminal, make me $1 million.
No, not quite.
Wow. All right, so you start as a junior broker, you learn the ropes,
Yeah.
but how do you actually move up the ladder?
Well, there are a few ways it can go. Some brokers climb the ranks within the firm,
Right.
taking on more and more responsibilities as they go.
So you could be, like, head of trading eventually.
Exactly. Maybe even leading a whole team one day.
Head of trading, that sounds pretty impressive.
Right. Others might find their niche,
Okay.
specialize in a specific market.
Like what kind of niches are there?
Well, you could focus on emerging economies or a particular currency pair.
So the more specialized you are,
Yeah.
the more in demand you're going to be.
Exactly. Because the more volatile the market,
Right.
the more you need an expert.
Someone who really knows their stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. What about, like, starting your own firm? Is that a thing?
That's the entrepreneurial route. And yeah, some brokers go that way. They build their own client list, establish their own brokerage.
Wow, that's
It's a big leap.
a big leap. So you're not just climbing the ladder, you're building your own ladder.
Exactly. It takes a lot of drive, business smarts, and of course a good track record.
You've got to prove yourself first.
You do.
Okay, so no matter what path you take,
Right.
RoleCatcher mentions continuous learning.
Very important.
They talk about all these certifications, CFA, CFT. Are those really necessary?
They're valuable, that's for sure. They show your clients and potential employers
Right.
that you take this seriously, that you're invested in your own development.
So it's kind of like leveling up in a video game.
It is, yeah.
Hmm.
You're always gaining new skills, opening doors to better roles, more specialized roles.
Because the industry's changing so fast.
It's constantly evolving.
You've got to keep learning.
You do. If you stand still in forex, you fall behind.
That's a good way to put it. It's all starting to make sense now.
Yeah,
The pressure, the need to be sharp, the constant learning.
it's all connected.
But that also makes me think there's so much information out there.
Oh, ton.
How do you, as a forex broker, not get overwhelmed?
That's the million-dollar question. You have to be picky about your information.
Okay.
You can't just consume everything.
Right.
You got to filter out the noise and focus on the stuff that's actually relevant to you, to your clients.
So you're looking for the important stuff.
You're looking for that needle in a haystack.
But the haystack is massive.
It is the whole internet, basically.
The whole internet. Wow. I guess that's where experience comes in.
Yeah, the more time you spend in the markets,
Right.
the better you get at spotting those important signals.
Tuning out the noise.
Exactly.
So it's not just knowing what to look for, it's knowing what to ignore.
It's a skill in itself.
It really is, especially these days.
Okay.
Any tips for our listeners on how to do that? How to develop that focus?
I'd say build a good network.
Okay.
Find those sources you trust, news outlets, analysts, other traders you respect.
So it's about surrounding yourself with the right people.
It's about quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity. I like that.
And don't be afraid to just step back from it all sometimes.
Take a break.
Yeah, give your brain a chance to breathe,
Because there's that saying, you can't see the forest for the trees.
Exactly.
If you're too focused on every little thing, you miss the bigger picture.
Exactly.
And that's not going to help anyone.
It won't.
So we've talked about skills, we've talked about challenges, career paths.
We've covered a lot.
We have, but there's one big thing we haven't touched on yet.
What's that?
Technology and what it means for the future of forex brokers.
Yes. That's the big one.
You mentioned tech. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, it's a big one.
What's the tech landscape like for forex brokers these days?
Oh, it's changed massively.
I bet it's more than just like a Bloomberg terminal and a lot of coffee.
Laughs. Those are still important, don't get me wrong. But the technology now is crazy.
Like what?
We're talking super fast trading platforms, algorithms that can spot tiny trends.
Hold on, algorithms are making trades.
It's becoming more common.
So some brokers are basically up against supercomputers.
In a way, yes. AI is being used a lot to analyze these huge data sets,
Makes sense.
looking for those patterns that humans would miss. But it's not about replacing humans entirely.
Not yet, at least.
Right, not yet.
So you still need that human touch.
Absolutely. A seasoned broker brings so much more to the table.
Like what?
Experience, intuition, the ability to react to those unexpected events. You can't teach that.
So the more tech we have, the more important those human skills become.
Exactly.
So it's a partnership.
That's a good way to put it.
Tech does the heavy lifting, the broker brings the understanding.
And the client relationships.
Right. RoleCatcher mentions that forex brokers have to navigate some tough situations with their clients.
It's part of the job.
Like, what happens if a client's panicking because the market just took a nosedive?
You got to stay calm, bring them back to the strategy.
Easier said than done when someone's freaking out about their money.
Oh, for sure. But a good broker, they can turn that crisis into an opportunity.
Okay.
Let's say the euro drops suddenly. A skilled broker can say, look, we discussed this, remember? It's not a surprise. We planned for it. Now we buy low, like we talked about.
So you're not just managing their money, you're managing their expectations as well.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher makes it clear that this is a high-stakes field.
Right, high rewards.
High risk, too, don't forget.
It's a roller coaster, like you said.
It is. You got to be able to handle those risks, those split-second decisions.
And genuinely love it, like you said before.
Yeah, you got to thrive in that kind of environment.
So let's say someone's listening,
Yeah.
and they're hooked on this career path. What does it look like?
Well, we talked about junior brokers.
Right, the entry level.
Exactly. Think of it as an apprenticeship.
So what do they actually do?
They're shadowing, they're absorbing everything they can.
Soaking it all up.
They're doing market research, learning the tools, proving they can handle the pressure.
They don't just get thrown to the wolves?
Not quite.
So they start as a junior broker, but how do they climb that ladder?
There are a few different paths. Some people rise through the ranks within the firm.
So they get promoted?
Exactly. More responsibility, bigger clients.
Head of trading, maybe?
Maybe one day.
That sounds good.
Right. But some people, they find a niche.
Okay.
They become the expert in a specific market.
What kind of niches?
Emerging markets are big, specific currency pairs.
So the more specialized you are,
Yeah,
the more valuable you are.
exactly.
Makes sense. What about starting your own firm?
That's the entrepreneurial route.
Is that common?
It happens. Some people want to build their own thing, their own client base.
Wow. So it's not just climbing the ladder, it's building your own ladder.
That's a good way to look at it.
But you need a good track record first, right?
You do. You got to prove yourself.
So no matter what path you take, RoleCatcher mentions continuous learning.
So important.
All those certifications, are they really necessary?
They're valuable.
Okay.
They show you're serious,
Right.
that you're committed to being the best.
Like leveling up in a video game?
Exactly. You're always gaining new skills.
Makes sense. This is a fast-moving industry.
Constantly changing.
You gotta stay ahead of the curve.
If you stand still, you fall behind.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It all makes sense. The pressure, the learning.
It's all connected.
But it also seems overwhelming.
Yeah, the amount of information out there is incredible.
How do you not just drown in it all?
It's about being selective, finding those sources you trust,
Okay.
analysts, other traders, reliable news outlets.
So it's about building that network, like you said before.
Exactly.
Quality over quantity.
100%.
And stepping back sometimes.
Yes, give yourself a break.
Clear your head.
You can't see the forest for the trees.
Exactly. You'll miss the big picture.
You got it.
So we've talked about skills, challenges, career paths, but we still haven't really touched technology.
That's the big one.
What does it mean for the future of forex brokers? Where do we even start with that? I mean,
Right.
It seems like every day there's a new AI that's supposed to be better than humans at predicting the market.
It's moving fast, that's for sure.
So are robots going to replace forex brokers?
For lamps. If I could predict the future, I'd be on a beach somewhere.
Right.
But seriously, technology is always changing.
That's true.
It's about adapting, not being replaced.
Adapting, so like learning to work with these new tools.
Exactly. Integrating them into what you already do.
So forex brokers need to become masters of reinvention.
You got it. The best brokers in the future, they'll be the ones who use technology to their advantage.
Instead of trying to fight it.
Exactly. AI can analyze the data faster, spot those tiny trends.
Right, and maybe even automate some of the boring stuff.
Exactly.
So brokers have more time for the human side of things.
That's the idea.
Building those relationships, working on strategies with their clients.
Because at the end of the day, it's about people.
Right, so if tech's doing the number crunching, what skills do brokers really need?
The human skills become even more important. Critical thinking, creativity, emotional intelligence. Those are the things that set you apart.
So it's about being more human.
In a way, yes.
Hmm.
The best forex brokers, they'll be masters of communication,
Persuasion.
building trust, especially in a digital world.
That is really interesting. We started talking about trading floors and screens,
Yeah.
but it's really about connecting with people.
It is. Understanding their needs, guiding them through all the chaos.
It's a lot more personal than I thought.
It really is. This has been great, by the way.
Yeah, this deep dive has been
We
fascinating.
covered a lot.
We went from market depth and algorithms to emotional intelligence.
And the future of AI.
All thanks to these RoleCatcher excerpts.
The gold mine of information.
It really shows that being a forex broker is
What's more than meets the eye.
way more than meets the eye.
It takes a lot.
It's a challenging career.
But it can be very rewarding.
So if you're listening
Yeah.
and you're intrigued by all of this,
Definitely check out RoleCatcher.
it's a great place to start if you're serious about this career path.
Absolutely.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for exploring with us.